I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, get ready for an engaging interview with a very talented author. His name is John Lincoln. He has written a book called Genesis 2. It is a novel that masterfully intertwines fact and fiction to chart humanity's ambitious journey to colonize Alpha Centauri. Drawing upon his rich background in ocean engineering and his pioneering work in offshore facilities, this author presents a compelling vision of space exploration. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his wonderful book. The links are below the interview. John, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Okay, you're welcome.
This is a great book. Part of it is about a revolutionary propulsion system that propels humans to the far reaches of space. It seems that science fiction is often the forerunner of actual fact. So do you think one day we will actually get to the far reaches of space with a machine that...
What's good about this book, there is no science fiction. It's all fact.
Okay.
This is the actual engine that I've designed using 300 pounds of uranium, which lasts for about 1,600 years. And they have to get water, they have to fill up 3,000 tons of water on asteroids and comets in various places on their journey. And they can get speeds up to 2 million miles an hour, which enables them to get there in 1,400 years. So basically, they're transporting mankind to a whole new world, same universe, but it's 4.5 light years away, 1,400 years to get there. And so all of the engineering and the getting water and the growing the food and the rotating of the spaceship to induce gravitation, all this is thought out with, and also the thrust and the loads. It's all through my engineering ability. I was able to work on it. So for me, writing the book was basically going back and taking out my old textbooks and doing all the calculations. And of course, I had to do a lot of research on space, which I knew very little. I wasn't an outer space engineer. Now I am a little bit. So
now that you've designed this propulsion system on paper, you feel that it could one day be actually built and it would be a working model?
Of course. So the book's all about the testing of it and the developing of it. Over half the book is my daughter. The reason the book was written eventually is that I had to come over here to the United States from Australia. I lived in Australia 35 years. And I came here, and my second wife and my two younger children, I had to leave them behind, and they were too young. So I felt really bad about leaving them, and they felt like that I had abandoned them, and I did not. And my business started going through some real problems. And my office always paid their bills in their school, and we just didn't have the money. So I really felt bad. So I wrote the book, and I made them the stars in the book. Okay.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And but today the daughter, who was 14 here, is now 22, and she's an actress in Australia, and she's writing screenplays for American companies. So I thought if anybody ever makes a movie, maybe we get her to do the acting. That's as realistic things could get,
Exactly.
And my son, on a similar note, he in the book he helps develop the computer, call it Google on Demand. So it's called God. So these people go in space, take God with them, and all their children that they have over 1,400 years think God is a computer. So there's a lot of things in the book, which come about, which are in a way they're funny. It's not all serious technology. There's a lot of fun in it too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you did mention movie making here. Have you envisioned Genesis 2 as a movie? Obviously, you have. You think your daughter could?
Well, there's another company contacted me. Yeah, I have an interview with them today at 5, and they've said that this has been scheduled to make a movie out of it. We have to do write the screenplays.
Wonderful. Well, that's great. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Hope so, yeah.
From your lips to Hollywood's ears, that this thing gets produced and made. What was it like writing this book? Did it take you a long time? You were designing
Yeah,
systems.
it took about 2.5, 3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
What it was like is I've always been a person who's, I guess, very thoughtful, always thinking. I was always called Thinking Lincoln, when I was younger. While other kids were playing sports and stuff, I played a little bit, but I wasn't into it. I was more in thinking. So, this was my fifth book. I got this book actually has it's a trilogy, so there's two more which have been completed, and one of them is actually published. So the first book gets them there. The second book is about what do they do when they're there. They breed, they explore, they find primitive humans, sort of, which upsets the Christians on Earth because there's not supposed to be humans anywhere else. But anyway, I won't get into the next book. We'll just talk about this book. I'm sorry, I forgot your original question.
Oh, I forgot it too, but what you said was excellent. Why don't you give the folks at home the overview? I kind of did it in the beginning. It was a quest to get to Alpha Centauri, and you've created the technology to get there. It's a 1,400-year journey and to colonize the far reaches.
Well, I'd already written. I'll tell you what, I started out and I was reading books, and when it came upon the carbon crisis and all this stuff about how carbon dioxide is making the planet warm. And I read another book, this is 20 years ago, that says that that's rubbish. So I really got into it and studied it both ways, and I discovered that that guy was correct. Carbon dioxide has nothing to do with it. All carbon dioxide goes into the ocean. It's turned into limestone, which is about 5,000 to 7,000 foot thick over most of the Earth's shallow waters. When I say shallow, I mean less than 2,000 meters. So it's more than 50% of the Earth's surface. So that's where the carbon is. It gets in that limestone. The concentration of carbon in our atmosphere is the same, virtually the same now as it was in 1900. So that's, what's that, 123 years ago. It hasn't changed. Matter of fact, if the carbon dioxide level got any smaller, we run a great difficulty raising crops and growing crops because all plants take in CO2. So I wrote that book and I finished that in 2018, and I had a good time. And then it inspired me to write this book, and I don't know why at all. It's very strange. Why would you write a book about going to Alpha Centauri? It's just, but I started and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing research. A lot of it's internet research, and I discovered new things. As a scientist, which is what I am. I discovered, for example, what I could read on the internet was that all of space is basically empty outer space. Is every 1 cubic centimeter, which is big, there's either one proton or one alpha particle. They're both positive charged particles. Now, nobody understands why the whole universe is expanding, but to me, it's obvious. All these little positive charges are pushing each other. Right. So I put the college physics book out and I checked. They're also attracting each other. That's why we worried about, that gravity. That's what gravity is. Mass attracts each other. So I took the college physics books out and checked. And the repulsion force is 1 billion times, 10 to the 9th power greater than the attraction force. So to me, I just proved what causes expansion of the universe.
Yeah.
The whole universe, everything is going outward.
Couldn't your theory of propulsion be brought to a smaller scale and be used in automobiles, for example?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Why not?
What do you mean used in automobiles?
Well, could the propulsion system be made smaller? And because it seems like it's a great propulsion system, almost.
Oh, you mean you're talking about? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about from your book, the propulsion system you designed.
Uranium? No, no, that would be this rocket. The first rocket ship's built at the space station. It's launched from the space station. They didn't want to launch it from Earth because they didn't want to lead a whole trail of radioactive material.
Yeah. So
it's highly radioactive.
Yeah.
These ships later on, some other ships land, on the planet in the other books, and they have special heat exchangers and special devices which don't exhaust radioactive material. So so even the technology is getting better.
Sounds great.
No, I think it's just too much power. You're talking about too much power for us Earthlings
driving around in our cars.
No,
leave you today. Tell me what you want the folks at home to take away from your book. That we boldly go where no person has gone before, and we still have that mission.
Yeah, basically that. And you can learn a lot about the universe because, like I say, it's not science fiction; it's science.
Mhm.
I didn't know about all these places in space, like I've heard of the asteroid belt, but I didn't know what the scattered disk was or the Oort cloud, all these things, and I didn't know about all the comets there were. So they have to actually ride up the tails of comets, land on a comet, and get water later on because you run out of asteroids.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good. It teaches people a lot about outer space, and there's a lot of a lot of my personal opinions and everything are in these books. Like what is God? Well, I led a very dangerous life in my 20s. I nearly died 7 times in underwater caves. I got run over by a 600-foot long ship. I fell off a ship, was lost at sea. So, and during that time, I would black out, and could see people's faces, and these people turned around and came and rescued me. So, it taught me what God is. To me, it was sort of mental telepathy with other people, right? To me, that's what it is. No God is going to come rescue some 20-year-old boy floating in the ocean. I'm not worth it. There's 6.5 billion people on the planet.
Right.
Good Christian people. Let him rescue them. But so I discovered. So my whole book is so full of my beliefs like that. That's just one fundamental belief. The expansion of the universe is covered there. How Einstein is wrong. I proved Einstein wrong. I don't know how technical you are. I could tell you how. It's pretty simple, really.
Well, go ahead. We'll take a listen.
Okay, yeah. Well, Einstein, for some reason, back in the 124 years ago, they looked at the light in the morning from the sun in the afternoon, and with their primitive instruments, they got the same speed. Well, okay, they had primitive instruments basically, and they thought, well, how can the speed be the same? And then they thought, oh, light's like sound; it travels in ether. So automatically said there was ether out there, which there's not. So they gave an analogy that if a man was standing on the ground and a train was going by like this, to the right, and if light came by, it would pass the train at the same speed as it passed the stationary observer. Well, how is that possible in our minds? The only way it would make sense to Einstein and them is the train had to get smaller and the clock slow down. You see?
Yep.
And everybody followed that logic for 100 years. Yep. Okay, and then one day when I was 50 years old, I kept thinking about it. I took the light coming from the other direction, not behind the train, but in front of the train. And you know what you get? The clock speeds up and the train gets longer. So how can a train both shrink and get longer and clock slow down and speed up? They can't. It's impossible. The whole thing, what Einstein did was crap. It was a lie. He knew it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
John Lincoln has created a wonderful world in his book, Genesis 2. It is filled with innovation that is rooted in reality, that is rooted in science, which is rooted in his career as an engineer. It's a wonderful book. You'll love getting lost between the pages of it. It's highly recommended. John, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Okay, I'm done.
You're done for now. Let's say goodbye to the audience, though. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time.
Did I pass all right?
Until next time.
Did I pass?
You passed. Absolutely.
Oh, good.